Welcome to Outlier on Air. We are in Ogden, Utah at the Startup Ogden co-working space. We're here with Matt Sutherland, co-founder of HQ. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Good
You're joining me. This is where I work. So.
Thank you for letting us join you in
Yep.
your space. So you work out of the Startup Ogden co-working space, okay? Which we have a tour of online on our website. It's an amazing space. HQ, really quickly, can you tell me a little bit more about what you are? You're an advertising firm.
So we're a design and development firm.
Design and development.
So there's 16 of us here, and we do high-end web design, apps, and big web applications. And so whether that we really focus on user experience, and that's something that sets us apart from a lot of other agencies. We do a lot of user interfaces and with apps and web applications, and then we're really just high-end on the design.
Okay.
So most of our clients are more corporate enterprise level clients or really well-funded startups.
Okay. How many co-founders do you have?
I have one co-founder. His name is Aaron Ficklin.
Okay.
And we started this together. We started working together about 4 years ago, and it's kind of grown into this. We were working on another project at the time, but
okay.
This is kind of what it ended up as. So.
Okay, so it's not always easy to target the high-end space,
Yeah,
right? So you've got a lot of high-profile clients in this area specifically. How do you break into that?
I don't know. I kind of thought of it as it's almost just a reputation thing. Once you do one, it's really easy to name drop, like I can at any time, and then that usually gets me in the door for all the other ones. And so,
okay.
You know, we worked with a company called Seagay a while back, and they purchased a company called Coinstar. You guys might know who they are.
Yeah,
so that was a
absolutely.
big corporate client. That was our biggest first one, and then from there. You know, we got multiple others. We got MarketStar, we got Qualtrics, Salesforce, Mozy, and from there, we've been pretty well known around this area and that. So. Okay,
so what makes you different from the other agencies?
We focus very highly on design. I work with a lot of the agencies around here. A lot of the ones, you know, although sometimes we're competitors, more often than not, where we just work together on projects. And so differentiating us from them is typically, I know a lot of them that are a lot more focused on the development. And while we do a lot of development, we do a lot of design. And so we have 6 very talented designers in-house. And we have an open invitation on hiring more right now. So that's as much as we can get.
So do you all work out of this co-working space together?
Yes and no. We have a kind of a different structure. I don't tell them what time to come in. I don't tell them if they need to if they want to take a day off. They don't ask permission. They just do it. So we have clients and deadlines, and so they all know when those need to be done. And I don't really micromanage anybody on that. So sometimes they work at home. We just had a guy that was in Washington for like a month, and he was working out of there. That's fine.
So why don't you have an office? Why do you choose to work out of a co-working space with that size of team?
Honestly, it's a new thing here in Ogden. We wanted to support it, and so we had an office. That was our own large office over here, and then when they opened this, you know, there's not that many high-tech companies in Ogden yet, I don't think. So we wanted to help support that and came over, and we've enjoyed it. So.
Does it help your business at all?
Yes and no. It's fun having other founders close, and there's a few of them here specifically that's good to bounce ideas off of and talk to them about what they're doing. And so in that regard, it has.
So you feel that you get the privacy that you need. I mean, when I think of an agency such as yourself, I think of the office as really, really needed, but you haven't missed it.
Yeah. I mean, most do, and a lot of times our clients that come here and they're surprised that this is where we work. It's a really cool space, but the fact that there's other people here with us, and we have a conference room, and that's fine. You know, and I do phone calls, and while I'm working, you'll see me pacing around on the phone a lot. But I don't really need. I personally don't need an office. I sit here on the couch half the time, so it's fine without it.
So take me through your journey a little bit. So it's been 4 years.
Yeah.
Has it always been great? I mean, since your first client, have you just been flying? Or?
Yeah. It's been flying in a sense. We've always had lots of work coming in. That hasn't never been a problem for us, so that's a good thing, good problem to have. We, back in the early days of starting this, we were a little bit naive on how long sometimes things can take, and so when you have a live client project and they have deadlines, that became tricky at times. There was a time that, so I recently got married, and when the week that I proposed, we had lost about $20,000 on 2 different projects each, so $40,000 total, and I was like trying to focus on getting married, and I was very much stressed about work, and very stressed about whether we can pay our employees, and even to the point we did payroll once, and after payroll we had like about $100 left in our account. Wow. And so it all worked out, and ever since then I've made those mistakes were really costly, but I'm dang good at not doing that again. And so
how do you not do that again? Because that's actually probably the #1 struggle that I hear from agencies, web designers, coders, whoever is providing services for their clients, and they, there's scope creep. Yeah. There's these deadlines. How do you what do you do so that you meet those deadlines?
I think we're just a lot better at communicating up front on the variables that do exist. So typically we give estimates to people on things that we're very sure about, and we're not wrong on those things because we're very sure how long it's going to take. There's other things that can take more time, and those will just have a variable, and we'll explain all the risks to the client on, you're hiring us and we're giving you our all, but at the same time these are just in good faith estimates, and there's things that can change that, and it's not their fault, it's not our fault. And so ever since we've kind of approached it more that way, we haven't had a single problem since then.
So you have a great customer base. I mean, you've got very high-end clients, big dollar accounts, I'm sure. Is there some point where it's easy to get a little bit complacent or a little bit more relaxed about the fact that you're in this great situation, or?
Yes and no. I've thought about that a lot. I'm a pretty self-motivated person, and so motivation has never been an issue.
Do you feel like you're just hard. As hungry as when you're battling for those first clients?
The only place I'd say complacent, I don't try as hard right now on getting more clients, because that's our problem right now is just dealing with scaling, and that's very much where our focus is. And I've thought in my head, if we could figure out this whole scaling issue on growing and maintaining quality, then I could go back to focusing on getting more work, and we potentially would make a lot more. But right now that's not the issue. So yes, I mean, I just change gears. It's just different things that I focus on.
And how do you foster that in your team? Foster the drive that a company would have when you're vying for those big clients, and then when you have those big clients and you have revenue coming in, how do you battle? How do you keep it fresh and keep them motivated?
I mean, we're pretty particular on who we hire, and so most people that we hire are pretty good in the first place. And from there, I mean, they like it. We get these cool projects, and they're sharing it on their Facebook and Twitter just because it's, hey, look, I worked on this, and you probably know the brand, or you'll see it anyway.
They're proud of it.
Yeah, they get a lot of sense in that, and so that's probably the biggest. We're a pretty chill culture around here, and I'm sure you're other heard us playing ping pong half the time. We're pretty chill about that, and so I don't know, we all get along, and that's been important for us.
So you mentioned scaling is your current struggle, if I can call it a struggle. I mean, it's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
But scaling meaning, are you trying to get more business from your current clients? What's your scaling strategy?
Well, the scaling issue is just hiring people that are good and that can integrate with our team without having a road bump, and that's tricky. If you hire a designer, we have a very particular design style and methodology that we follow, and so sometimes we hire people that are too good and too set in their ways that they can't adapt to us, or the opposite, that they're too hard to train because they haven't learned enough. So when we're hiring a designer, it's actually a very specific person that we're looking for, and that person is hard to find. On development, we're really particular on the quality of code that we ship out, and all of our clients expect us to be high end, and so they can't produce things that are just like cutting corners, and so that's kind of hard for us as well.
So you are a service business.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a difficult thing to scale because you're talking about having to add more bodies in order to scale. Do you have any way around that, or are there other strategies that you implement to help that vision?
Just like you said, yeah, as a service, we can only grow as fast as we have people. That's what people are paying us for, is just the amount of hours. You know, that's our product at the end of the day, is how many hours do we put in. So we have to have more people to put in more hours. But there's things that, you know, we have our own little offshoot products that we've developed that, you know, as a service that, you know, we've learned in our industry that have been useful. And honestly, a service-based company, I mean, they typically don't grow past a certain size, you know, and I don't know what that is going to be for us, but it is, you don't see a company like ours that has 1,000 people, and there's a reason for that, just because it's too hard to maintain that standard. The biggest success has just been, you know, getting just a big client that's willing to put their whole brand and image behind us. And so it's hard to say the biggest one in particular, but there's been a few different ones that, you know, after we landed a big name client, that we took everyone out for sushi because it's, you know, fun that we were able to, you know, convince them that we're talented enough to do what they want, you know, to have done over anybody else that they've worked with. And so we've had a lot of times where pitching, and we know that there's been 5 other companies that pitch the exact same thing to them, and that's fun to be able to, you know, at the end of the day, to have them say that we trust you to, you know, redo our whole image online or redo our whole business model. We've had a few companies where these are, you know, $100 million companies, and we're redoing the entire core product of what they have, and that's that takes a lot of trust on their end to us, and it takes a lot of responsibility to deliver. And so far, it's worked out. So.
Sure.
Attention, Outlier entrepreneurs across the globe. In our obsession to help you start, grow, and scale, we're traveling from city to city to pull back the curtain and show you what's going on in the startup world and exactly what entrepreneurs are doing to be successful. In the thousands of interactions that we've had with outliers like you, we've learned a ton, and we've listened to your needs. We've been working literally day and night to offer you an even better experience at outliermagazine.co. We've just released a brand new website where you'll be able to easily find video and audio podcast interviews, as well as articles all about what's going on in the startup world, entrepreneurship, events, and tech. Don't forget to find the bonus videos that we've posted for you, where we've gone behind the scenes to tour the paths of high-profile entrepreneurs, startups, and co-working spaces, and shown you exactly what environment they work in, what their teams look like, even what they eat for some of them. Now, the thing that's going to blow the roof off this website is you. Now, you can go on outliermagazine.co, click join, and have a totally interactive experience. You'll be invited to webinars and Q&A sessions with experts and high-profile entrepreneurs, and hangout sessions with other outliers. So come be a part of the interactive Outlier Magazine experience at outliermagazine.co.
So you've had times where you weren't sure you could make payroll. You made payroll, you had $100 left in the account, and then you've also had times where you've been celebrating these large clients. Do you see longevity in your business? I mean, it's a business that's been around for a while.
Yeah.
And from what I'm understanding, your angle is quality, is high-end service, is the best of the best. Is there anything more, any other angle that you have to keep this business in business for a long time?
I mean, I think those are the things. It's a
classic.
It's an interesting business that, since it's so technology based, that, you know, some of the things that we're doing are going to be outdated next year. You know, and you know, we're building apps for phones that didn't exist a few years ago.
Yeah.
And so to foresee what's going to happen in the next 5-10 years, I mean, I'm sure our business will evolve a lot just because of the technology that evolves. And so that's something to keep up with.
Sure.
And yeah, I mean, I found often, gotta be careful saying this, I don't want to offend anybody, but like a lot of times sometimes other agencies are, honestly, you'll have like a developer that decides they want to start their own business but have never really had that much experience and running a business. They're really
classic
good developers.
Technician.
And I don't think I'm not that good of a developer, so I don't have that problem. Just because I'm not a very good designer either, honestly. Our employees are really good, so yeah, that's something that I think that's helped us is that I have a founder who's actually very technical and he can grasp that really well, and he leaves everything else up to me, and that's been a good fit for us, maintaining our quality standard.
It sounds like, a lot of times I think as startups, especially, or businesses in general, especially those that use technology, we think that we have to constantly change, and we actually hear that a lot. You need to change with the times. And so what I'm hearing from you is really a lot of classic principles, quality, serving your customers, of course, staying up with technology. But it sounds like the tried and true is really your strength.
Yeah, I think so.
So are there any weaknesses in your business that you're working on strengthening?
Yeah, a lot.
Are they just little things, procedural stuff?
I mean, it's a weakness of a whole business model. It's hard to, I talk with our guys a lot, it's really hard to connect the dots on, with us, we don't get like a retainer with clients typically, where we're just continually working with them every month. We build it and then hopefully they can maintain it when we're done with it. And so as we're slowing down on a project, to have the other one lined up at the exact time that we want it to be is almost impossible. And so that's always an issue with getting new clients, because they want us to start now and we can't until we're finished with this other one, or the opposite is that they're not ready to start and we are ready to start. And so that's always something that I have to kind of manage a lot. And it's tricky. That's not something you just fix. It's going to be something we always deal with, I'm sure, but find ways to mitigate it. That's probably our biggest issue that I find.
Yeah, sure.
Once we get into something, we're great. We can get rolling and we're good for a while, but then it's when we're slowing down and speeding back up, that's tricky.
That can be tricky, especially with revenue being, it ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
So are you able to share with us your revenue numbers currently, or how they've grown in the past?
Yeah, I can share with you. So we started, I think I told you, 3 or 4 years ago. That first year we did, we were actually, it was kind of a different business then, but similar. And that was when it was just me and Zarin, and we were in college, and we think we did like $15,000 that year. It's enough to pay for our food. And then the next year we about doubled that, so still not very much, 30,000. And then the year after that, we did a little bit more than 10 times that, so closer to 400. And then the next year, which is the current year, we're a little bit more than triple that. So we've
we've
gone up a lot in the last few years.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Do you anticipate being able to continue that kind of growth, or was that a huge growth spurt? What do you think?
My goal is to at least double it for the next couple of years.
Yeah.
So that's the goal, and so far we've met our goals on doing that. So.
Excellent. So where do you mine your talent? I mean, that can be really difficult. We experience that. We're in a smaller community, and we have different business owners that have their ways, of nurturing talent from the university. How do you get your talent?
With us, I mean, we have a very close relationship with the university here. In fact, we teach a class, and our sole purpose of teaching the class is so that we can hire the students that we're teaching to. We also, they send a lot of people our way. And then also the fact that we're in Ogden, I mentioned before that there's really not a lot of high-tech companies up here, luckily for us. And so I don't have to compete with Adobe as much, down in Provo area.
Right.
And sometimes I do, and I mean, there's actually, our lead mobile developer was a lead developer down in Provo, and I mean, imagine making that drive every day. And so when I offered him a job, it was pretty simple for him to not want to have that commute. So that's helped a lot.
Not tracking hours is a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Even with how fun Adobe is, and their big gym and that huge building, I'm sure they still don't have quite that much freedom with how big they are.
Yeah. And so we do a lot of things like that. We offer really competitive pay, and we also offer really cool benefits, I think, and the fact of working here. Most of, sometimes big corporate atmospheres, there's always people that you don't like, and here, we haven't had that problem yet. I'm sure we will eventually, but they all get along really well. So
Cool.
I think they see that when they come interview here, is that we all like each other. We do company barbecues and parties and things, and
Is that part of the secret, the intimate atmosphere? I mean, I'm interested in, I think culture is really important, especially as you're adding onto your team, and
yeah.
it's great that you all like each other. You hire carefully, you mentioned, but as far as fostering that culture, what's your main, I guess, your main angle with how you run your corporate culture? I guess it's not really a corporate scene, but your culture.
I think for me personally, and I kind of deal with a lot of just the HR and with our employees and everything. I don't know.
Do you have key principles that you
to an extent, yeah. I'm not very big on titles. I will not let them call me boss, things like that. And I found that sometimes I find other founders that seem to just love the idea that they're in charge so much that they want to remind everybody that they're on in charge. And I don't know. I have a different approach to it because all of them are much smarter than me at what they do, and so
which is a tribute to you because that's what they tell us, right? Surround yourself with smarter people.
Yeah. And so I give them my opinion, and then I say, but you're smarter than me, so do whatever you want, because you know what you're doing. And I don't know. I don't like the idea of that I am their superior. I don't like saying that they work for me, but they work with me, and so we kind of have that we're all kind of on an even playing field. Even we have interns who don't necessarily feel like they're at the bottom of the barrel, I don't think. And so that's been big, and just putting them first when it comes to pay and things. We actually have a couple employees who take home much more money than I take home. I always tell them that my goal in life is to make as much money as they do. So
that's awesome.
just to not be, I don't know, just don't be stupid about it. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
You don't have to be the highest paid person and be the leader in every single case when you're not qualified to do that.
That's interesting because you're kind of you're taking steps to keep the startup culture even as you're growing. Because a lot of people leave, maybe not necessarily because they have an amazing idea. They may not start a company because they have this fantastic product. They may just leave because they want that kind of environment where they don't feel like there's a boss breathing down their neck. They feel appreciated. A lot of people leave a job because they feel like they're smarter than their boss and their boss doesn't realize it and they're taking all the credit. So it sounds like you're diffusing that. I think that's really smart.
Yeah, I'm really paranoid about stuff like that happening. I always, every day ask them, what do you hate about your job? And like, if you were to go home and talk to your wife, what would you tell her that you hate about your job?
And they tell you?
It's funny.
They tell you something?
A lot of times they won't, and I am hoping that they're being honest. I'm always like, I'm not gonna be weird about it if you tell me that you hate me or anything about this. And, for the most part, they're pretty honest about the things they don't like, and we do whatever we can to fix that.
Have you ever been taken advantage of in any way or close to it with that kind of culture?
Never by our employees intentionally. Things have happened, that we've had to sit down and discuss, but I don't believe that anyone's ever done it intentionally. I've had clients that I think intentionally try to take advantage of us, but I think I'm actually nicer to our employees than I am my clients. So if they do that, we don't do that. So
absolutely. Yeah, that's interesting. I think that's definitely something to note because I think as companies grow, it can be a struggle to keep that positive culture that was there in the beginning, and then the corporate, complacency sets in. So that's a great point. So for those who are building service businesses such as yours, what advice do you have for them specifically?
Just be really, really good at it, and don't. If you're really good at it, I think there's something to be said about taking a high-end approach, just because that typically means you have more budget to deal with, and you can make something great. And if something's great, the client can't complain, and neither can anyone else, because you're taking your time to make something good. And don't grow too fast. That's something that even we've had to deal with. Make sure you have all your processes in place, because as good as things are going, and if you've got clients just knocking down the door, if you don't have the right systems in place, you'll buckle. And that's we dealt with that, where we didn't have a project manager for the first little while, and I was doing all of that, and I was doing the sales and the project management, and so I get so involved on every project and then not have time to go talk to our future clients, and
sure.
Stuff would screw up there. So just be smart about it. I don't think there's a magic trick to growing a business, but just thinking about it and making it work in your head, and then making it work on paper, and making it work in your business little by little. So
great point. So where can we find you online and look at your portfolio and get in touch with you?
It's builtbyhq.com, and there's a decent portfolio there. We should update it. That's a 2014 goal. So
okay.
Hopefully.
How do we get in touch with you? Are you active on Twitter?
Yeah, I'm very active on Twitter. So just Matt Suth, MattsUthe is my handle.
Fantastic. So we will put these notes and links on outliermagazine.co on the show notes page. And we appreciate you being with us. Thank you.
Thank you.